Oh, let's do it, baby. Ty Butler, Jake Asman filling in for Rick and Dave right here on DiPietro and Rothenberg. I'm excited for this spot right here. We go to the guest phone line, and we say, Happy New Year, good morning to the great Rex Ryan on the program. What's up, Rex? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Happy New Year to you guys and all our listeners out there, man. It's let's hope for a great year.
Are you a New Year's resolution guy? Is that something you do, vision boards and all that, or do you shy away from that stuff?
No, I mean, I used to, and, it'd start with some kind of diet. That lasts about 2 days, so that never worked out. But, nah, not really. I can say this honestly. I tried some of that stuff, and it never worked.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Really appreciate you, Rex. He does an excellent job for ESPN, of course, as an analyst. We saw him on television yesterday. So that Giants game, they end up losing. But I just want to ask you about their decision to go back to Tyrod Taylor. I thought there was more value in continuing to run with Tommy DeVito, potentially auditioning him for a backup spot on this team next year. They obviously elected to go in a different direction, bringing back Tyrod. What did you make of that decision?
No, I think it's a great decision. You're trying to win games, and, I thought they played their butts off. Tyrod Taylor is a guy that I believe in. I think he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. Tommy DeVito, that's a great little story there for a while. But, to me, no, you're trying to win the game, and Tyrod's clearly the better quarterback.
Rex, when you look at this Giants season and, the nightmare at times it's been for every Giant fan right now, they're sitting there with a top 5 pick. If they lose to Philadelphia next week, they could get as high as potentially number 2, number 3 in the draft. Do you see the scenario where Joe Shane, who didn't draft Daniel Jones, Brian Dable, who was not here when Daniel Jones was drafted either, might love one of these quarterbacks and take a QB even with Daniel Jones under contract?
It certainly could happen. I don't think they're going to get down to, the number 2 pick. I don't think that's going to happen. So, I think there's only 2 quarterbacks out there that kind of warrant one of those picks, but I don't know the draft that well. All I do know is I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. would look pretty good in Giants blue. I can tell you that. And you want to improve that passing attack, get him out there.
We're talking to Rex Ryan right here on DiPietro and Rothenberg. Let's go to the Jets. If we can just for a moment forget the Aaron Rodgers part of this equation. When you look at Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, does this tandem deserve to come back next year? We know they are coming back, but in your eyes, do they deserve to return to this team?
Well, I think everything was based on Aaron Rodgers being there. And, certainly all the decisions, who they hired as offensive coordinator, don't think for a second that didn't play into it. All these players that they brought in for Aaron, Lazard, Randall Cobb, all these type guys they brought in. Well, maybe we should see it, play out. That's certainly what Woody Johnson has decided. I actually am surprised by it. I thought he would wait to the end of the year and say, you better beat New England. And, because they've won 15 straight against us. But, again, they decide they're going to bring them all back. That's what Aaron wants. And I think Woody's leaning on him. And so we're going to see it next year. Look, they have a really good defense. We get that. It's a really good defense. And this gives them an opportunity, fix that dang offensive line. Maybe get another playmaker in there on offense, but spend everything you got on that offense. And give Aaron Rodgers, we brought him in to take a shot at a championship, then you got to do it. My only thing is that, as we've seen, starting quarterbacks have a tough time making it through a whole season. And what we saw when we put the backup quarterbacks in there is a team that really struggled, to say the least. So you got to do something. We know there's been a lot of injuries and all that type of stuff. But I look at Cleveland. They've had a ton of injuries. They're on their 4th quarterback. They've lost 3 offensive tackles, and yet they still win. They ride a really good defense, number 1 defense in yardage. So, there's no more excuses. It's either you get it done or it's bust. And I think that's it. And I think Robert Saleh is good with that. Like, give me a chance to have Aaron Rodgers out there. And I'm going to say this. When you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, it's hard not to win. And so I think we're all looking forward to that. I mean, hell, I had them as my Super Bowl champions this year. I really did, because I thought if you have Aaron Rodgers who can play great defense, then why wouldn't you think that? So they're going to have that opportunity, to go back there, let Aaron bring in all his guys like he has, and let's take a shot at it.
Rex, I know you just alluded to Woody coming out and saying, hey, Saleh, Douglas, they're coming back. But you know the guy as well as anyone that we could get on this station. Do you see the scenario where the Jets lose ugly next week? They lose to the Patriots yet again. They haven't beat them since 2015, but who's keeping track? And Woody Johnson could say, hey, you know what? I said what I said, but we can't move forward with this. The way we finished the year is terrible. Could you see Woody changing his mind? I
don't see Woody changing his mind. I think he's out there. And this he obviously consulted with, I'm sure he had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers, and I know he believes in him. And, all right, I'm trusting in you. And I think that he brought Aaron Rodgers here to try to win a championship. And if Aaron Rodgers is thinking that we're, we can get this done with Nathaniel Hackett at coordinator, he may be the only one in the country that believes that. But if he believes it, then we're going to give him that opportunity to prove it. Because I don't believe it. I don't. From what I see, that I was like, what the – like, damn, we got to be able to function better than this. I never saw the development I wanted to see out of Zach Wilson. So that was disappointing to me, because I think the kid's got some ability. But, no, I don't see Woody. I think he's already come out and made that pretty clear that everybody's back. But make no mistake, he's going to expect this team to make a deep run in the playoffs. And if you don't, I think heads are going to roll. That's my opinion.
We're talking to Rex Ryan. If you were coaching this team, what would you have done differently this season?
Well, I think I would have started protection first with my quarterback. I think that's a given. Now, look, and Saleh, their offensive line stinks. Like, they stink. And if you stink, you can't block them. It's going to be difficult. But I would have tried like hell to gone protection first, given this guy a chance to locate down the field and make throws. And then, as the play extends, now he can get outside and you get more of a run-pass option when he breaks the pocket. You look at what Lamar Jackson's done in Baltimore, the difference. Well, they start with protection first. And now Lamar has a chance to scan the field better. No, he's not going to get hit. He's playing way more confident from the pocket. And he's so deadly outside the pocket as the play extends. He's had like 50 rushing first downs. And I'm not saying Zach Wilson is that, because he's not. All right, there's only one Lamar Jackson. However, I think he'd have a chance to be more productive had we taken that route.
Rex, when you look at the Jets, they're leading the NFL in penalties. It has been just brutal this year. How responsible is Robert Saleh as the head coach of the team for the just seemingly lack of discipline this team plays with?
Well, I think Robert's going to take that. He's going to sit back and no, this is unacceptable, and they're going to make a huge emphasis of it. And remember, Aaron Rodgers doesn't like motion. Okay, he doesn't like motion. He's smart enough to figure it out himself without motion. Okay? After he got hurt, now we're trying to say, well, this is a younger quarterback. Let's try to put motion back into our system. And I think we got a little more penalties than we probably would have, had Aaron Rodgers been out there. But, it is what it says. And when you lead the league in that category, that's not a good look. But, again, everything's washed out. It's great. We can flush it. We start brand new, next season. So let's see what happens.
All right, so let's go back to Saturday night. Lions, Cowboys, playoff implications all over the place. But you end the game with a controversial call because a receiver or an offensive lineman, failed to, in the eyes of the officials, report as eligible. What did you make of that whole debacle?
Yeah, it was total BS because he clearly goes over. Even the quarterback, tells him, okay, Deck, we're running the play. You got to report eligible. He goes right over to the guy and says, hey, look, I'm eligible. And fine, he gets it. He's not even looking at 70. He turns and goes to the defense. He assumed Taylor Decker was number 70. And why did he assume that? Because they had played with an extra lineman a ton during that game. And I think that's why he just saw a big 6'9" guy, and that's what Decker is, and Skipper's even like 6'10". So he got right in his face, but he never recognized the jersey number. That was clearly on him. The fact that Dan Campbell, before every game, you bring in the officiating crew and you have a grease board, you go over every trick play, you go over special situations. Like, here's my 2-point play. Boom, this is it. We're going to run a throwback, a tackle-eligible play to 68, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, we get it. Make sure he reports and all that. He reported. And that's the thing that pisses me off is that they are making it sound like the players screwed it up. The players did not screw it up. They did exactly what was told. And this guy's not, he missed it, and that's it. And that's fine. He's a human being. People make mistakes. But the biggest problem is he should own the damn mistake. We know what happened. We got video proof what happened. Own it. And the fact he didn't, I lost a ton of respect for him. But, God. And let's quit trying to cover each other's butts here. In the league, I'll be surprised if the league doesn't do something here. And obviously it's not going to matter. I mean, you only cost Detroit the number 2 seed and possibly the number 1 seed, and that's a huge deal. And I hate the fact, like, people, the games are rigged and this proves it. No, it doesn't. There's no rigging in the National Football League. That's asinine. All right? But mistakes happen. This is a mistake, and albeit an absolutely enormous mistake. But the fact that this guy still is covering it up pisses me off.
Rex, how about what happened in Philadelphia yesterday with the Eagles losing at home to their old defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, and the Arizona Cardinals? What the heck has happened to this Eagles team that at one point was 10-1?
Well, they were 10-1, but they it's like they never fought anybody. One of those, inflated records. There were many games that they could have easily lost, but they would, and like I said, this team they lack the knockout punch. They had it all last year. In other words, a knockout punch is we can just grind it out in the fourth quarter, just run the ball down your throat, and we can rush the passer to win games. All right, they don't do that now, and so this defense is. You talk about an underachieving unit. This defense is ridiculously bad, and this is a team that went from 70 sacks to 40 sacks. This is a team that had 40 sacks on third down to 12 sacks. Like, it's not the same defense. They just gave up 200 rushing yards to the Arizona Cardinals. Like, what? Like, God. And with everything on the line at home, and you're going to lay an egg like that. That's why this team, they lack the knockout punch, and it's come back and bit them.
We're talking to Rex Ryan on DiPietro and Rothenberg. I am so annoyed with the Denver Broncos organization and how they've handled this Russell Wilson situation. It looks like the NFLPA has stepped in and said that it's illegal. What do you make of what's going on in Denver?
Well, I think what happened is Sean Payton, like, you can want your player to restructure something or whatever. You can go ask him to restructure, but you can't threaten him. And if you're threatening with benching, that's going to be a major problem if that is indeed what happened. Now, as a coach, you can run the roster any way you want. You can bench a player. That's not an issue. Okay? But if you threaten this player about, if you don't sign this, I'm going to bench you, there's going to be major problems.
Rex, we know we got to let you go, so real quick at the end here, as a diehard Jet fan, it's the first time I had a chance to talk with you. I'm curious, how often does someone approach you, Rex, and bring up something about eating a snack when you're out and about in public?
Yeah, I get it all the time, but I think the the funny thing is, I guess you're known for that, because it was on Hard Knocks or whatever. But I can say this: there's no bigger, fan of the Jets, no more passionate coach than they've ever had there. I love that team. I love the city. I love the fan base, and that's what I get more of than anything else.
Sounds like you'd be open to returning as the head coach of this team someday, maybe.
I never said that. I'm not. I mean, let's see. I like Robert Saleh, but it has to get done next year. It has to. And the great thing is Saleh's not going to run from it. He's going to know there's a lot of expectations, and there should be. And so bring it on. And I'm hoping that he does well. Like I say, I'm just a fan of the Jets right now, and I pull for Robert Saleh.
Well, Rex, we really appreciate you joining us on this Monday morning. Happy New Year to you and your family. Take care, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.